Troops, here we are. We're live. It's another Eagle podcast. Like I've said to you all along, I'm prepared to give anybody a platform to tell a story. This podcast isn't about having thousands of followers. It isn't about big Instagram personalities. It's about the everyday man, woman who's in the street because it's relatable. And the next guy had the balls and the courage to send me a fantastic blog which he wrote on a very, very difficult topic which we'll get into. It's David Ward. David, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How's life, mate? How's COVID life?
Yeah, it's going all right, mate. To be fair, I'm probably like a lot of people. I'm probably enjoying it a bit too much, you know, the relaxing side of it. Anyway, but yeah, it's going good, mate. Yeah, it's going well.
What is it you do, David?
So my work that I do is I'm a part-time personal trainer, and in my full-time job, I do metal work basically, so welding and all that boring stuff.
All right, okay.
yeah.
So that's a Nottingham accent that I'm hearing. Or
That's right. Yeah, through and through. Yeah.
Big place, big city, lot going on. What's it like growing up in a place like Nottingham?
It's not too bad, mate. I mean, it's. I grew up in the 80s, so in the 80s was quite an era anyway. So, but there's, used to be a lot of factories around, and like everywhere else, it became more office-based kind of work. So there is a lot of manual work out there for people in Nottingham, but it's not bad, mate. Got a nice, well, I say nice. It's not a bad nightlife, you know. But yeah, it's all right, mate.
It's fair enough. And now you're a football man?
I used to be. I used to support Forest as a kid. I used to support Forest, but I kind of grew out of it.
Yeah, obviously Nottingham Forest has a great tradition and a great football club, and managed by a legend of the football game, Mr. Brian Clough, who
Brian Clough, mate, legend. Yeah.
Dead interesting guy. Came from Middlesbrough, place not too far away from where I am. When Forest come and play Middlesbrough, there's always a homage to where Brian Clough house used to be. So they always come up and sort of see where we used to live, which I think's which is fantastic. It's great. Yeah, you talked about growing up in the 80s. Talk us through that, mate. That must have been a tasty time.
Yeah, growing up in the 80s, it was a period for the younger people that may listen. It was a period of you wore hand-me-downs. You had the electronic music on the radio and trying to tape songs off the radio. There was no internet. There was no internet, so there was no Spotify and whatever. I spent many times trying to record my favourite songs with a little tape. Yeah. I bet a lot of the young people won't even know what a tape is now. Showing my age, mate. But yeah, it was good times. Good times that area was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cracking time, and obviously, me and you got connected through the powers of Instagram and the powers of social media. And you're a keen. Well, you've got into hiking, isn't it? We sort of had a little talk the other day on an Instagram live, but I was dead interested in what you were saying. So here we are, podcast. Hiking, do you wish you'd found it sooner?
Definitely. It's done a lot. Hiking has done a lot for me, really. It's opened up a lot of doors, mentally, and along with that, emotionally, really, because when you're out on those hills, it's just another. It goes into another world. You know, it's not just about looking around at your surroundings. It clears my head a little bit, and opens new doors.
What got you into it? Was it being on Instagram and being exposed to sort of certain hashtags or people that that were already doing it?
It was people that already knew that was doing it. I've always had sort of that passion to be outdoors.
Yeah.
I can't sit in the house for too long. I need to get out. I've always been like that. But through various situations and circumstances, being able to get to places and such and such.
Yeah.
It's not always been possible. So as I've grown up and those things were put in place, I've been able to travel further afield, which meant that I can get out on the Peak District and in Wales and what have you. Yeah, so yeah, it's just circumstance at the time, but yeah, it opened doors for me being able to get out there.
And do you look at the outdoors from a challenge-based perspective or from a mindset perspective? And what I mean by that is, do you use it for escapism? A lot of people use it to set challenges, and a lot of people use it to escape maybe his mundane life.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I enjoy the physical side of it, like a challenge.
Yeah.
Would be trying to get up the really steep hill, or
yeah,
mountain. To just purely once I'm up there, that's it. It switches then to the mental side of taking it in and just clearing the head and that kind of thing.
What challenges have you done?
So I've done the fan dance. I've done that quite a few times now. So
right.
It was funny enough because I did it once and I absolutely hated it. I was, for the next probably week and a bit, I was just hanging. My legs were in pieces. I was very, very sore for a few days afterwards. I mean, getting in and out of the car on the way back was just horrendous. I think I needed nearly a Zimmer frame or something, But then, as you may well know yourself, once you've done something like that, the only thing that's left once all the aches and pains is gone is the memories. And as a sucker for punishment, I've just kept going back and doing it again and again and again.
There's nothing wrong with pain. Pain is where growth happens, and it's where the ability to look at something that you've done and gone, well, I did that, but what's next? Do you know what I mean? It's that what's next. And unfortunately, in society, there's a lot of people I believe who lack the ability to say, I know it's going to be really hard and I might really struggle, but I'm going to do it because I know that long term I can look back and say, yeah, I did that. And I don't want to have any regrets, David. I don't want to get to the nursing home age and sit there and think, why didn't I have the bottle to at least go and try that event? Do you know what I mean? There's loads of people who miss out on great days because they think, oh, what happens if I don't finish? I'll look stupid. And what they do is they create a load of excuses why you shouldn't do it.
100%.
But really what you should do is you should create another side that says why I should definitely do it. Yeah. And that's where it happens. Do you know what I mean? And what other things have you seen challenge-wise that quite take your fancy?
Well, just of late, I've really got into the going out running. So
okay.
Just jogging. And like most people who run, I did at one point get obsessed with my pace. I was always chasing that pace, trying to beat my last run. But now, because I wasn't really doing me any favors, I was just killing myself every single run. I've had to learn to slow down, and so being able to slow down a little bit and just go with the flow a little bit more with things, that's a new thing that I find I'm working on at the minute.
It's an interesting one because we all wear trackable technology and Strava and all of this sort of stuff, and sometimes you have to listen to your body. Just this morning, I started to feel like a tightness in my calf. I've been doing loads of running, like probably as everyone has during lockdown. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to slow it right down, and I'm just going to stretch it. I'm just going to stretch off. Yeah. I'm not in the race of my life. I'm not running away from the zombie hordes.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm still out being active, but I feel I've got something going on in my calf, and if I don't listen to my body, I could potentially rip. And you could do something long term. And I did. Now, a few years ago, mate, I would have gone, no, every single race has to be best effort. Every single thing has to be best effort, and kill myself. Now, I'll slightly flip that because I do a lot of events myself where it is all about being in deep water and pushing. But today's doesn't need to be that day. It's 1st of May, random Friday. It doesn't need to be kill myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crawl home. When you took on the fan dance series, I think you did it with the SF guys who sort of run all that stuff down there. I want to say Avalanche. Is it Avalanche Events?
It was the Special Forces experience that I did it with.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. So. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Just a little bit of interference there. And obviously not being from a military background, mate. So not only are you stepping into a challenge, but you're also stepping into a world very little about. What was that like?
Yeah. Scary. Shit your pants scary, to be fair, mate, because, it was one of those things where I quite blindly took the challenge on. A mate asked me if I wanted to join in. I said, yeah, no problem. And then it wasn't until he was ringing me up saying, right, we're going to go. Local to me, there's a country park, quite hilly. So it was like, we're going to head down there and we're going to get, it's like at the time it was like 10 kilo pack. And we're just going to go and do an hour. At the time I was like, yeah, no problem. I can do that. Mate, whole new ball game. So yeah, and as the event got closer, we upped the weight in the pack, and your body adjusts to it and you get better at it. Your time goes down. On the day of the event, drove down to Wales. Drove down to Wales the night before. Stopped in a really cheap B&B. Had what was it? A bacon butty, which the guy who owned the B&B, thankfully got up early in the morning. It was like 5 in the morning. He got up and did us a really, really salty, full of butter and bacon. I'm so glad he did that. Necked that. Drove down to the Story Arms. Yeah,
Story Arms.
And then weighed our packs. And then we just got I think it was about half an hour we was waiting around. It was -5, absolutely freezing, teeth chattering. You're like, God, I just want to get warm, get going. Adrenaline's pumping, and there I am with my Camelback, having a little drink. Can't get nothing. Shit.
Yeah, it's frozen.
It's frozen, mate. And as you may know yourself, that's the least thing you want when you start that fan dance going up there. Is horrendous.
Do you know, it's dead interesting because I feel like, and it's hats off to you, because what a lot of people do with these events, dude, is they go and recce the route first, or they have an understanding of what the route is, or they have an understanding of carrying weight, or they have an understanding of the environment they're going to go into. And fair play to you and your pal for literally not having anything apart from a bit of moral fibre to say, do you know what, I'm just going to turn up and roll with it. And that drag from the Stony Arms going up to the first sort of summit is tough, and your body is like, no matter how fit you are, your body's screaming because you're almost going from like a car cold start into into third gear, and you're going for it, and your calves are going, and your ankles going, and your lungs are on fire. Your shoulders are hurting, and you're thinking to yourself, have I even trained for this? Because I feel like I've done no training. I feel so unfit.
And the worst part of it is there was guys that were older than me who was taking over me, and I was there like this, And but as you rightly said, you get to that point where you just like, well, this is it now. Embrace this up and just head down, arse up, and just go. Just do it. Get it over and done with.
I do this thing on my events, David. I call it the 10-minute microwave. Every time I start an event, to see who's who, I go out the gate at a ridiculous pace, a ridiculously howling pace, and I sort of give people a 2-minute warning, and I always sort of say to them, right, we're going to be doing the 10-minute microwave here. You will not need any warm clothing on, and people are like, some people listen, some people don't, and I say, but once we get going, it's 10 minutes on my watch. Now, psychologically, what I do, David, is it's never really 10 minutes, mate, because sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's about how well a group react. Is what I'm thinking, or I'll give them a false finish. I might say that's where we're finishing up there, but really it isn't. but it's more about testing people's who's going to stay with it, who's going to suffer with you. And I go, like, I'm not at the back going to slow pace. Like, I go for it. Like, the only difference I know is I'm in charge of the time. So therefore, I hold the cards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You've got the mental edge, mate. That's the thing. That's it, isn't it?
It's a psychological thing. And I teach people about, and because I've been taught, when you go for a run or when you do a class-based exercise or you do something, give yourself a finish. Give yourself, right, I'm going for 5K. But instead of doing 5, do 7. And you watch how tough it is to go out on a 5K and then say, no, we're doing 2K more.
Yeah, yeah.
And then go out a few days later and say, I'm doing 7K. And put the two together and think, that 5, which I turned into 7, was horrific, but that 7 was fine because in your mind you were doing 7 and that was okay.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, I did the fan dance route again, and I did it with the same company, but it was what do they call it? Hunted.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's the fan dance, but you are chased up along the route. So you've got a hunter force basically hunt like after you.
Yeah.
Which then adds another element onto it. So your arse is flapping even more. I mean,
chased,
they're not going to do anything. They do is, you've got like an armband on. When they catch up to you, they take your armband off. Job done. You can still carry on the route and enjoy it at your own pace, but the thing is, you don't want to get caught. You want to go.
Yeah, no, let's get caught.
So you're going to ask me if I got caught? Yes, I did.
That's nice.
But I still, at the end of the day, you still do the route. It's your own person. You can either just leisurely walk it then, or you can try and nails it. And I just tried to nail it even quicker than the last time I did the fan dance, which
fair.
I think I knocked 5 minutes off my time, so I was happy with
that. That's fair enough, and it's great that you're getting in there and you're embracing these events. And there's loads of great companies out there, and there's loads of great events you can do. And even if I always encourage people to learn map and compass. Technology is great, but I'll tell you now, and I'm speaking from experience, that technology will let you down, massively let you down, and it won't let you down in the car park on a sunny day. It'll let you down on some horrible summit when the weather changes and you've got your family behind you and your wife's looking at you saying, which way is it? And you're like, oh, well, my phone's died. And that's just... It's
Google
not,
says it's that way.
it's not the answer, mate. And there's plenty of people who teach map and compass, and there's nothing to. It's not it's not the dark arts. It's not Hogwarts. It's some very 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 simple basic stuff which can help you in a bind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So you can go out and have your own stuff, and you can train and have the confidence to go further and further into these places and. Really have a good understanding, and that's what it's all about. So it's great stuff. So let's get into it. You sent me a blog, very very passionate, very emotional blog. I'll leave it to you to describe your upbringing, why you wrote the blog, and sort of what you're looking to. Is achieve the right word, promote, highlight, any of those words?
Okay, well, so yeah, as you say, I sent you an article which I wrote for for an Instagram page. And basically, to start off with, it was a case of I just wanted to get the my experience out there for maybe those who are going through similar things or have been through similar things. And just make it a bit more general knowledge, basically to help people who may feel that it's just them that's going through it or has been through it, and it's about getting that knowledge out there, mate. So, but so my story starts from being a kid, basically. I grew up with a mum who was going through postnatal depression. I think, me personally, I think there was other underlying things there as well, but I think postnatal depression best covers it. So it basically started as I was a kid. My earliest memories was from I think about four 4 or 5, and that's when it sort of, I remember it starting. It basically started where it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it started, but the earliest memories of it are my mum just wasn't like every other mum, and she was struggling. She's very emotional all the time, always emotional, and just flying off the handle for no reason. And day-to-day life would have been something of like, up, I didn't go to school very often, or preschool at that age. And it was always, I always felt like you were doing something wrong constantly, like things were your fault constantly. Again, as a kid that age, you don't know any better. You're just a kid, you just want to play with the toys and whatever. I think the first things that sort of started to show with her was when the biggest significant thing I can remember of happening at that time was when I don't know, or if I did wrong at that point, but she basically told me to go, like kicking off at me, basically, go and pack your bags.
What age would you have been there, Dave?
I'd have been about 4 or 5.
Wow.
And she was telling me to go and basically, so, go and get a bit of swearing, but go and pack your fucking bags, you know what I mean? And so obviously as a kid, you're like, hang on, what? Go upstairs and pack your fucking bags, So again, as a kid, your mind's going a bit, and there was tears, there was upset, and she kept saying it over and over again. So I've got siblings. I've got an older sister. Well, I had an older sister at the time. My brother came along a bit later on. My older sister, like most girls at that age, she used to play with the Barbie dolls and this, that, and the other. And I remember getting this tiny little Barbie doll suitcase. It was, I mean, you can imagine it fit Barbie doll clothes in it. And I remember getting this, really, crying snot everywhere. And just getting my little pants and putting them in this suitcase, and then I remember I remember my dad coming into my room, and he says, "What you doing?" And I says, in a state like, I'm packing my bag. She told me to go. So anyway, he couldn't believe this because he didn't really see that happening. He coming from work, you see. So he goes down the stairs, and I can hear him, bickering and what have you. And on it went. Sorry,
David. At this time, obviously, we're talking. I'm just trying to get the time scale right. There wouldn't have been the information that there is now, and people were very, very quick to judge. Well, I mean, they still are very quick to judge, but more so, I'd have thought back in the mid '80s. So obviously, that would cause friction between your mum and your dad. Obviously,
massively, yeah, it really did. Yeah, there was many arguments between them both, and sort of. There was always a time when you never knew which way. You didn't know whether to go to your dad or you didn't know whether to go to your mum, you see. So, it was difficult.
And did your dad have any sort of like clue about what was going on? Like, did he have his own take on it? Like, what was his input?
I think he did at the time. I think he kind of knew. I think he kind of knew that something wasn't quite right. But I think he just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, no, it's a very moving story, and do you feel that's sort of forged you as a bloke growing up, like that sort of very harsh reality of I'm trying to mentally put it in my mind what it would be like for a young kid to go upstairs and pack like a little suitcase. It's heartbreaking. And when did your mum ever get any help, or what was the sort of after action?
So she did get help eventually, but that wasn't this. I mean, this went on for years before she got the help.
The
rather than sort of like just the verbal bollockings, it became physical
Right.
as the years went on. So it was, I mean, there's things that I could tell you which a lot of people just wouldn't believe. There's things that you don't really, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no
Yeah,
you know,
I know what
nothing
you're saying.
sexual or anything like that. There's nothing like that. But physical is in the fact of actual beatings and stuff like that. So as time went on, yeah, the verbal bollockings became more physical.
Yeah. And what would, sorry, David, I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
I'm trying to sort of piece this together.
Yeah,
would there be any sort of triggers to this, or would they just be like completely spontaneous?
Thinking back, there could be little signs. You know, there could be little signs that there was going to be something that happened. You know, the first thing I used to get personally is I used to pick up on the atmosphere. The atmosphere, the whole atmosphere in the room used to change. And she had this crazy look in her eyes, and you just know, shit, you know, this is it. And yeah, then the shit would hit the fan, and you'd be, that's it.
And would it be something that you did as, like, obviously as a young kid? You know, we've all been young kids and naughty, and
yeah,
you know,
definitely, yeah.
So say I don't know, you'd come in and maybe you'd rip the top, or you'd sort of been playing football in the street and you'd put someone's window out, or so and so had said, oh yeah, your boy's been doing this. Would those sort of be the triggers?
Those things did happen, and yeah, that would trigger it. But 9 times out of 10, it was just she'd have this internal voice. You know, it's one thing she always used to say, like to my dad when they used to speak about it. She always used to hear voices, and one of the things would be to, like, oh, they've done this and they've done that. You know, and like I said, most of the time you wouldn't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
It was just she was in the mood, and you were the one, and you're gonna get it. You know, and
was it more so targeted at you, or was it targeted at your siblings as well?
No, my siblings had it as well. My sister, she used to get it as well. She's 2 years older than me, so she was a bit more aware of things than what I was.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, to put this out there in the public forum, and to write the public blog that you've wrote and you put on the Forge's website, which is obviously Graham who has the Forge. People can go and read it. Did you have to sort of okay it with your sister first, and you have to sort of say, look, I'm doing this and I've wrote this, or I mean that in itself can cause friction, can it?
Yeah, well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to, because I didn't want them to feel like they're being dragged into exposure, you know, basically. So yeah, I did run it past them, and they were both fine with it. They're of the similar mindset as me. You know, people need to be aware of that this does go on, and you know, if you are suffering with postnatal depression or any sort of mental health issues, there's help out there. You don't have to hide behind a door. You really
no. It's you know, you're brave to talk about it so publicly like this, but I'm trying to think if I know exactly what the word postnatal depression means. Like, I've got an idea in my head, but is there like a sort of very clinical sort of way of putting it?
I guess the only way you could put it is, I mean, I'm no expert.
Yeah.
But it's a form of, I guess it's the hormones. After a woman's had a kid, you know, the hormones are all over the place. And I guess for some women, it just doesn't level out back to the same levels. And for other women, maybe it goes further.
And is it a kid? Does it come from, and please, if I'm wrong, just jump in and say, does it come from a place of resentment of, like, we have a life before childbirth, and then obviously after childbirth things change, and is it like they resent the fact that you've stopped them being able to do what they want to do? Like, is that a right sort of way to look at it?
I think there's an element of that in the way that maybe after you know, maybe if you had postnatal depression, and then you start to feel like that, like, oh, you know, there's a slight resentment. I think that could possibly be part of the postnatal depression. I think that it's a very complex subject, but at the same time, it's definitely one to look out for, you know, because there's various levels of it. You know, there's like what my mum had. But as I say, I think my mum had has still got probably other issues going on. So it's complex. There's so much to it, mate.
How's it affected your relationship with your mum, sort of, as you've become grown from into a boy to a young man to a man to you know, where you are now?
To be honest with you, I don't really have anything to do with her. I cut ties at a very early age. I mean, she, you know, as I say, after all the events of when I was a kid, it came to itself, but it came to an end itself basically because I was 15, and she basically just kicked me out over something so stupid. Basically, I think it's like I used to pay board like everybody had to, you know, when I was living there, and I'd like got £5 less. I'd got a job, and I got £5 less than what I needed to pay the board, and she just I gave her the money. I says, "Oh, there's your board," and she ripped it out of my hands. There was never no pleasantness with her. It was always, you know, always nasty atmosphere. And she took the money and she tucked it under her leg, and she says, "No, you £5, you know, you £5 short, sort of thing." So I'll get you that next week. And she says, "No, get your bags and fuck off." You know.
Wow.
What? And as I say, from 5 up till being 15, the amount of times that she'd told me to F off and all the beatings, you get to that mindset where you're just like, you know what, I'm out of here. And I went upstairs back into my bedroom and I thought about it. Where do I go? What do I do? And I just thought, you know what, I don't care. I'll sleep on the streets. I really don't care. I don't want to be here anymore. So I got this. I went back downstairs. I got this black bag, bin liner, and I just put some clothes in it and a toothbrush, and I just slung it over my shoulder, and I just went. I mean, my dad tried to stop me, but I says, I can't do it anymore, Dad. I've got to go. I can't be here anymore. So, and she just sat in the living room on the settee, like, yeah, go on, fuck off, you know. So off I went, mate. In the middle of the winter, that was as well. So from that point onwards, I never really haven't bothered with them. It's just I just can't be in that world with that, you know.
Fucking hell.
So
it's powerful, and like I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I'm thinking, have I taken for granted the love that my mother gave me? Yeah. And I think the answer is possibly yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, mothers just love sons or daughters. There's no fucking issue. But like the things that you're saying is like it's extremely hard to listen to, and it's without being cliche, did you sort of descend into a life of crime? Like how did you manage to get on?
I did, mate. Yeah. I was a bit of a naughty boy. But basically, on the street that I grew up on, it was like a little council estate, and we had I think there was only me and 2 other lads that were same age as me, and you know, we did all the nicking from shops, and, petty chocolate bar here, you know, that kind of business. But we used to do a little bit of dodgy dealings and things like this. I mean, but I underneath all of that, I always I don't know. I guess there was always that little conscious.
You were deeply in the core, weren't you? Do you know what I mean? You might have been tea leafing, but there was no real, like, you never had plans to be a master criminal or.
No, I wasn't going to nick the crown jewels, mate. Let's put it that way. But I mean, I used to knock about with people who wouldn't think twice about you know, stabbing somebody or you know, nicking cars. And one of the biggest things that a mate of mine, well, it's not a mate no more, but a mate of mine back then used to just break into cars and get the radios when they had the old radios in the cars that you could pull out. Yeah. Used to do them, you know, sell them on, and then he'd just be there doing drugs. And those are the type of people I used to hang around with, because my attitude back then was, you know, F everybody, basically. I'd gone through all that, and no one cared about me. No one gave a shit. My parents didn't care. So why am I gonna bother about you, him, her?
Yeah.
I don't care.
What was the moment like? Was there an individual, or what was the moment where you said, I'm not going in the right direction here, and the people that I'm associating with aren't the right people? I believe this to be true. I have the eagle as my, like, as almost like a spirit animal, and I
Yeah,
sort of think about how an eagle approaches every single problem. But
yeah,
eagles only fly with other eagles, and you can put that into the world. You know what I mean? Like, positivity, when you surround yourself with positivity and smart
yeah,
people and people going somewhere, then you go with them. If you surround yourself with ducks and
yeah,
you end up going in the wrong way, do you know what I mean? And it's, what was the
definitely.
moment for you where you thought, I need to start getting off here?
I think that there's quite a few people along the way that changed my path, if you like. What the biggest one I can remember of, which was the sort of the wake up call, was I'd recently moved primary school. It was I'd recently moved to a different school because I had a lot of trouble at school, and there was this one lad. He was only like 2 years below me at this school. He was only a young lad, bless him. Name was Darren. His name was Darren. I'll never forget. And I was actually at home when this event happened, but my street was a crescent, so like a horseshoe shape.
Yeah.
And just round the crescent, round the corner, this Darren, this young lad who was at the school, he'd gone to knock on the door with my other mates, and while he was waiting for him to answer the door, he was, like I say, he was only a young lad, and he walk on mate's wall, but on brick wall, but it had like wooden slats down the side. Well, he basically slipped and landed completely on his neck, straight on this wooden slat.
Wow.
Kind of like half, if you can half break your neck, that's what he did.
Yeah.
And to cut a long story short, he died right there and then on just around the corner.
Wow.
And that was the moment when I was like, well, it was just a big life event, which made me just think a little bit. And then the lad whose house he was walking on, the wall he was walking on, a few days later, he was around the corner a bit further down the street, and he got into a fight with some guy who pulled a knife out on my mate. Basically threatened to stab him, this, that, and the other, and then my mate got into a bit of a scuffle with him. Luckily for him, he managed to get the knife off him. But unfortunate for the other guy who had the knife originally, he got the end of it. So my friend got put in prison, and it was just like, you know what, these people, you know, as much as I enjoyed being with them, because they were the people that helped me day to day get through what I was going through. I just can't go down that road. I can't do that. There's that inner sort of voice, if you like, that was like, you know, wait, it's time to wake up, mate. Can't go this way.
Wow. Yeah, man, you've had a rough ride, dude.
It's been a ride, mate.
Yeah. What you talked at the start about becoming a PT. I always find people who become PTs, they do it not because they want to become mega rich or mega whatever, but they do it because they want to help people. Like, they come from a place of wanting to see other people succeed and reach personal goals. Is that right for yourself?
100%, mate. Yeah, I've always done some form of sport. Growing up, I used to really enjoy basketball. I was in a team, and used to do a bit of cross country running. I was never really good at that. Running is really not my strong point, but I still do it anyway. I enjoy it. But so sport's always been a massive thing for me. Just keeping fit. You know, it helped me mentally coping with things. It just clears my head, and I feel like so much better. Like, if I go for a run, I'll even if it was absolutely a horrendous run, you know, 5-10 minutes later, after I've calmed down, I'll just be like, you know what, I feel so much more relaxed mentally, physically. You know, I don't feel snappy. I don't feel horrible anymore. you know, it's good stuff, mate. And so therefore I decided to do my my personal training course, and get aiming towards helping other people, you know.
Where are you at in that journey? Have you got
Yeah, I've got people that I'm training. I do, obviously at the minute with this pandemic that's going on, a lot of it's sort of like online stuff. I'm not charging for it, you know. I don't feel right, you know, because there's so many free apps and all this. You know, it's pointless charging for it.
People forget that you've got to build brand before you build sales. Do you know what I mean? Like people will give you money if they believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Everything's always a way. I mean, you just have to find your way, and you've got to find your audience. People have no problem. There's no problem with, you know, a free app is a free app, but a free app can't give you motivation. Like, you know,
that's right. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as good as all these apps are, mate, like, some people react better, and what they're really looking for here is, I believe they're looking for community more than they're looking to, they want to get fit, and they want to lose weight, or they want to put muscle on, but they're in a place where they're thinking, I need a new community because my old community is no longer working for me. I'm 30 something and I don't want to go out on the piss anymore, and I don't want to be doing coke in the toilets. Like, I need to start thinking about my fitness and my health.
Definitely.
And I want to be involved with people that motivate me. So I know what you're saying, but you build brand. Have you got like a name, like a what?
No, I just do it by myself, mate. I mean, I used to do a class in a gym in Nottingham. I did it for about 3 years. I ran it myself. It was a little bit of like boxercise kind of stuff mixed with weights and circuits and stuff like that. And I had quite a few people, as you say, different sort of backgrounds. Some people used to use it to, you know, just as general, so they can take pictures on Instagram and say, I've been to the gym. And then on the complete flip side of that, there was people who had, you know, probably sort of mental health issues, or you know, just going through a really shitty time. And I often found that some people used to open up to me. And we used to talk about their issues, and I always used to enjoy that, you know, just talking through things and just, you know, just trying to, from my point of view and perspective, this is what I would do, this is what I'd say, you know, and I often learned from them as well, just as much. I really did.
It's funny that me and you are now talking, because for what I'm doing in my business, I know a lot. I'll say I know a lot of people. I know people from Nottingham area, and as you do, you connect with one person and you connect with two people, and there's a girl I know from Nottingham, and she goes to a guy called Jake Wood PT. He's fantastic. He's got a great setup and a great what I like to call like a real strong core audience of people. You know, they're always out doing things socially, hiking, Tough Mudder, social do's, you know, the full thing. Like, and that's what he's created. He's created community. Yeah, they could all download the David Lloyd app and follow that. But people look for something else. They look for community and new friendship, and
they do, mate. They do. 100%.
And we've always done that from the dawn of time. We've always looked for community. At the end of the day, we are a social animal. That's why we have tongues in our heads. That's why we learn to speak, so we can communicate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Some people are on different wavelengths. So not everyone's cup of tea. But the world would be boring if we're all the same.
It's all the same, mate.
Yeah. No, look, Dave, I think it's great, mate. I'm chuffed that you've come on and told a hard story to tell, and you know, I think you're obviously heading in the right direction, and you're a positive guy, and you know, it's good to see. It's good to see that you haven't let it define you. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people let bad situations define them. Unfortunately, then that becomes their story, and not just a chapter in the book, but the actual whole story. And obviously you're going to kick on from it, mate. So we did it on the live the other day, and I always finish the show on the 5 watts. So
okay,
what's your day look like at the moment?
Day's looking like get up, do some form of PT. Like I say, whether that's running or just some simple weights in the dining room, you know, just smash out off hour, 45 minutes, job done. And then I've got 2 kids myself, so it's at the minute it's homeschooling, which is really difficult. I'm learning maths all over again.
Class.
So they're teaching me things. Just trying to get through this crazy time at the minute, every day, one day at a time.
Yeah, fair play, man. What workouts are you doing? You said.
Yeah, so workouts, again, it could be anything from going for a nice long run to doing a horrible sprint sessions. I'm doing some reading at the minute. We're doing some reading, so that's always good, like the mental side of things as well. Strength training wise, I've just got one of what they call the power bags, sandbags. Just doing loads of circuits and stuff like that. Nothing too drastic, you know.
Yeah, I've heard the term caveman CrossFit.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Up until today, mate, I look like a caveman myself with that beard that I had going on.
Yeah, fair play. Beard. What have you stopped doing?
Stopped doing. Stop wasting so much time.
I like that. You said that the other day, and it made me think. Stop wasting time. Yeah.
It's one of the biggest things I've done. I don't think I think everyone's in the same kind of boat, you know, until this event happened, you know, I think we were all guilty. Especially me, I am, you know, of wasting time when you thought you didn't have that time. You've actually now got it. So, wasting time's been a big one. Just stop wasting it. Yeah,
people, I always say, I know a lot of people who live on Someday Island. Do you know what I mean? And it's Someday Island. You and your mucker could have lived on it when you saw the SF thing. Instead of saying let's go and do it, you just went, it's done. And now it's a part of your story. Now it's a part of the story. It's a chapter in the book. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you know, that event, mate, that defined so much for me. It gave me a whole new level of mental strength, of just proving what you can mentally and physically do to even more. You know, there was a time when I was on that start line waiting for the countdown, because, you know, you just get the 3, 2, 1, go, and that's it, you're off. And my horse was flapping. I felt like pissing my pants. I just didn't be there, you know. Classic. But you know what? As you say, once you just get that going, that adrenaline kicks in, and bam, you're away. You're good to go, mate.
Yeah,
keep going.
Fair play. What have you started? Started anything new?
I've started to, I would say, be a bit more reading. I've started to do a bit more reading, pick up my reading side of things, because it's just, me and reading's never been partners. So I'm trying to work on work on that and what have you. I mean, also, I think just being a bit more kinder to myself as well. That's been another thing. Be a bit more kind, because I always beat myself up. Why didn't I do this today? Why didn't I do that? I'm you know what? Don't be so hard on yourself.
fair play. What's the second thing you're going to do after lockdown?
Second thing is, it's a good one. As I say, the first one was get out more in the hills and what have you. I think the second one is, I reckon, just to get this out more, out more, you know, push harder on this. The more people know about these sort of things, the better, and maybe we can get more help for people, you know.
Massively. No, it's fair play. David, look, I'm not really sure how we met or where we met, but I know one thing. I'm glad we have met. And I think it's great what you're doing, and I think it's great that you've got the courage to come on and talk about what obviously is a very, very difficult issue to talk about. But only by talking about these issues do we highlight them and bring them to the forefront. So hopefully one day a generation don't have to suffer the same things, and that's end of the day, that's how we grow as human beings, and that's how we make the world a better place for us to live in it.
Definitely.
Cheers, mate. David, where can people find you, mate, on social?
Well, they can find me on Instagram. It's Ward821_.
Yeah.
They can find me on there. They can find me on Facebook if they want to. I mean, I don't really tend to use Facebook so much. I'm more of an Instagram kind of person. But yeah, it's just Dave Ward. You'll see a picture of me out on the hills.
Yeah, looking Ali as fuck. And what's the link to the Forge blog post, mate? Where's that on Graham's page?
You can find it on Graham's page, or you can find it on mine. Again,
Right.
it's Ward821 _ at the end there. So yeah, you can come onto that, and I'll post it up there. And
it's the Forge. I want to say co.uk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can have a quick look.
I'm sure, and cool stuff. Look, mate, thanks very much for your time on a Friday. Again, I'm blown away for coming on the show and telling the story.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry. All right, mate. Catch you in a bit. Awesome. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you very much. Cheers,
All
buddy.
the best.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.